Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's so wonderful to be welcoming in Shabbat together. We want to welcome everyone who's here in person. We want to welcome our virtual community who's joining us as well, including our neighbors. It's wonderful to have you with us. And we have come again to this pause, this breath that we get to take, some quiet from the tumult, a gift we give to each other, this moment of Shabbat. I'm Rabbi Ari Lorge. I'm joined tonight by Cantor Dan Mutlu, Rabbi April Davis, Rabbi Dan Ross, and our congregational president. Oh, other side. There's big changes. Dr. Shani Silverberg. And we're delighted to be, opening into this moment of worship together. I want to invite all of us who are here in person and all of you who are joining us virtually to do whatever you need to do to really unplug and be present. So maybe it's making sure that if you have something that dings or bings or whistles, that it's off. If you're at home, creating the right environment around you so that you can really be a part of this and in this worship together. And I'll also add my gratitude and thanks to, of course, our shamashim who are welcoming us into this space. We thank you. We want to thank our musicians whose music and energy is just adding to the oneg, to the joy that we feel. We want to thank our AV team and our facilities team and security team and so many of the people who are behind the scenes doing so many important things to make sure that we can all be here together, worshiping together. So we take a breath, we enter into Shabbat, and we're going to begin by kindling our Shabbat lights. You can find the blessing on page 2, and I'm going to invite our congregational president to help us light our Shabbat lights.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel
We continue together with the joyful psalms of Kabbalah Shabbat. L'chun Ranana is in your order of service or in your Siddur on page 12. Shir Hadash in your order of service or on page 13.
שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו, ספרו וגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני, עולם מאוד, נורא הוא, על כל אלוהים, שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני, על כל אלוהים, על כל אלוהים, שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ.
We turn to page 20 in our Siddur for Lecha Dodi. We will sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And for the last verse, we rise and turn to the doors so that we can greet our beloved Shabbat.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נשוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. כי תורה התעוררי, כי בעורק ומאורי, אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום, עטרת מעלה, גם בשמחה, אומץ עולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך אדוני לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך אדוני לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך אדוני לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך אדוני לקראת כלה, פני שבת
Please remain standing for Baruch Hu.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai ha-mevorach. Baruch Adonai ha-mevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la.
We continue on the Hebrew on page 147. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro mariv aravim b'chochma poteach she'arim uvitvuna meshane itim machalif et hazmanim umsader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or.
ומעביר יום ומלילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim.
We continue on page 148. In each age, we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment, we are addressed by the world.
In each age, we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment, we stand face to face with truth.
In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder.
In each age, the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzamecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'am v'shivtecha b'beitecha ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We continue on page 152 with Micha Mocha, our song of freedom.
Yai lai la lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai la lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai la lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. La
So in the Daf Yomi cycle, the practice of studying a page of Talmud a day, we're in the middle of the tractate on Sukkot, Tractate Sukkah. And we've arrived at one of my favorite chapters in the Talmud. It's actually a chapter that I studied in rabbinical school with Dr. Alyssa Gray. It's called Lulav Hagazul, the stolen lulav. And in this chapter, the rabbis wonder about stolen lulavs, and naturally, by free association, they begin to wonder about stolen sukkahs, which led to one of my favorite exam questions of all time. Can you steal a sukkah? And it turns out the answer is no. So how might you try? Well, let's go with 3 ways. 1, you could go up to somebody in their sukkah, throw them out, but the rabbis say that in that case, you would just be borrowing it. You could try to steal the materials that the sukkah is made of, but in that case, the rabbis say that you only have to repay the person from whom you stole them for the value of those materials. Okay, 1 more. You could try to build a sukkah in your neighbor's backyard. But in that case, the rabbis say that the only thing you could possibly be stealing would be your neighbor's land. And according to Jewish law, land cannot be stolen. So you can't steal a sukkah. Case closed. Which is a happy thought as we turn to Hashkivenu, our prayer for God's protection. Because in this prayer, we imagine God's protection spreading over us as a Sukkat Shlomecha, a sukkah of God's peace. It's nice to know that, at least according to the rabbis, that sukkah can never be stolen. Hashkivenu is on your order of service.
Sometimes I lay under the moon and thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I'm here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Leshalom, Hamidenu Malkeinu Lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Leshalom, Hamidenu Malkeinu Lechaim. One day, one day, one day, oh. One day, 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 oh, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day.
We now rise for the Amidah on page 155.
Adonai, Sefatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, Sefatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, open that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor VaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevii Geulah Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei metim, Atah Rav lehoshia, Morid hatam, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei metim berachamim rabim. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We continue silently with the words on the page or the words in your heart, seated or standing, as is your custom.
almost here, and I don't mean the High Holy Days, because before we get there, we have this whole period of time, a whole month, Elul, for us to look inward and to prepare ourselves. It's only a few days away that Elul will start, and then things will start to change. We'll hear different melodies in our prayers, and certain texts will be added to the liturgy. And one that we love to sing and include in our prayers is from Psalm 27, which is Achat Sha'alti, one thing I ask of you, O God, and that is to dwell in your house all the days of my life. Achat Sha'alti me'et Adonai, Achat Sha'alti ota bakesh, Achat Sha'alti me'et Adonai, Achat Sha'alti ota bakesh, Shivti, Shivti bebeit Adonai, Shivti, Shivti kol yemei chayai, Achat Sha'alti me'et Adonai, Achat Sha'alti ota bakesh, Lachazot benoha Adonai, Ulmaker behechalo, Lachazot benoha Adonai, to gaze upon the beauty of Adonai. One thing I ask you, Adonai. One thing. One thing I ask you, Adonai, to be with me all of my life. Achat Sha'alti me'et Adonai, Achat Sha'alti ota
One of the things I love most about being a part of this community is the way that we embody the commandment, Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Love your neighbor as yourself. We are so good at it. we smile, we hug, we radiate warmth. If there were an Olympic gold for neighborly love, I have no doubt that Central Synagogue would win it. We have now arrived at this most neighborly moment in our service, our prayer for healing, when we hold each other in support, and our prayer for joy when we sway together in celebration. And tonight, I'm hoping that we can try something a little bit different. Because as many commentators have pointed out, when the Torah tells us to love our neighbors, it also tells us to love ourselves. So I want to invite us to engage in a little self-love tonight and ask that everyone place their hands over their hearts. And let's feel that love within. Let it flow out as a blessing to our neighbors, especially our neighbors who are in need of healing of mind, body, or spirit. At this time, the Central Synagogue community is praying for the healing of Kathy Barron, Simcha Ben Sarah, Donald Brief, Jerry Calderon, Lou Chen, Arden Donahue, Reginald Ferguson, Corey Flom, Jerry Friedman, Susan Friedman, Ashley Goodman, Zelek Gresser, Howard Hochberg, Eileen Huber, Billy Innerfield, Alexandra James and the James family, Walter Cass, Amy Beth Crome, Deborah Jacobson, Ephraim Ben Levy, Erwin Merkatz, Joan Mouton, Natanya Batsara, Sandy Schupper, Bill Smith, Thomas Vaughn, Nathaniel Wiesel, and Pam Young. We offer them our prayers for healing with these words of Misha Berach.
Misha Berach, Avotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Uyevarech, Ve'yerapeh et hacholim. Misha Berach, Avotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Uyevarech, Ve'yerapeh et
Now, as I offer this list of reasons that you might be celebrating tonight, if I list something that might apply to you, I invite you to put your hand over your heart again, feel that joy, that love within, and rise. So, if you celebrated a birthday this past week or will celebrate one in the week to come, happy birthday. If you celebrated an anniversary or will celebrate one in the week to come, if you welcomed a new member of your family by wedding, by birth, by adoption, or by some other exciting way, please rise. Put your hand over your heart. This is for those of you who are live streaming. If you got vaccinated this week, or for those of you who are here and vaccinated, if you helped someone get vaccinated this week, put your hand over your heart and rise. Very good. If you were thrilled by the incredible athletes of Team USA, or if your appreciation for sports transcends national boundaries and you just love watching the Olympics, put your hand over your heart and rise. It's been said that beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. It's International Beer Day, so if you love a good beer, put your hand over your heart. Or if you're just happy to celebrate Shabbat together, join us in our blessing of joy.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech שהחיינו וקימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Please remain standing so we can recognize a special simcha tonight. Pega and Alex, please come up to the bima. Pega, you stand there. It's a joy to be with you both tonight and honor your upcoming wedding. You started your journey at Central in the Center for Exploring Judaism, and you have embraced the Jewish community. And tonight, we embrace you and share in your simcha. You two were engaged 2 weeks before the COVID lockdown, and you have already had to pass up one planned wedding date. Still, you have been busy building a beautiful Jewish home together, one that recognizes the rich Persian culture of your family, Pega, and the Jewish culture of your family, Alex. At your chuppah, you plan to incorporate the Persian tradition of having the matriarchs of your families grind beautifully decorated sugar cones above you, sprinkling sugar over your heads. We too want to sprinkle you with sweetness and blessing. We wish that your partnership would go stronger each day, that your shared life be rich with meaning and purpose, and that you always feel abundant love, patience, and compassion for each other and for the world. The support and strength of the Jewish community will accompany you all along the way, and we share this ancient blessing with you. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha, Yisa Adonai panav elecha, vayasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May God shine light on you and be gracious to you. May God's presence surround you, and may you be granted a life of wholeness and peace, of shalom. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. It's a good opportunity for the congregation to also respond Mazel tov. There we
Mazel
go.
tov. You may be seated. We were promised hot vax summer. We were told that we would have baseball games and block parties and beach days and blockbuster movies in theaters. And then the Delta. Every day, we're hearing more and more about breakthrough infections. COVID cases continue to rise around the country and around the world. One of the only bright spots is that rising with them, at least in some places, is the rate of vaccination. Demand for the vaccine in Louisiana, for example, has quadrupled. If I could spend the next 7 minutes repeating the words, "Get vaccinated," over and over and over again, without having Kenner Mutlu push the button for the trap door beneath the bima, then believe me, I would. On June 6th, More than 75% of Americans believed that the worst days of the pandemic were behind us. But a recent poll found that for the first time since February, a majority of us think that the worst is now ahead of us. Feels like every time I've opened the New York Times these past couple of weeks, the headline has been some variation on the theme, everyone is bummed out. We wore our masks. We got our shots. We went 2 years without seeing our families. And now this? What happened to our hot vax summer? This week's Torah portion, Parshat Re'eh, begins, Re'eh anochi noten lifnechem hayom bracha uklala. See, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. The blessing, if you obey the commandments of Adonai, your God. And the curse, if you do not obey. And then God tells us exactly what those commandments are. Smash idols, stone false prophets, make sacrifices here and not there. Eat goats, avoid pigs, give tzedakah. We get instruction manuals for Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot, and much more. The bottom line, if we do what we're supposed to do, we get blessed. If we don't, we get cursed. At the most fundamental level, Parshat Re'eh's rules and rewards reflect that deepest of our human yearnings, our desire for certainty. We crave clear and consistent consequences for our actions, a precise understanding that this crime leads to that punishment, that this good deed leads to that reward. But that's not the world we live in. It stinks, and we know it, and our Torah knows it too. Because right after establishing the blessings and the curses that God has set before us, we are told, for you are about to cross the Jordan to enter and possess the land that Adonai, your God, is assigning you. And when you have occupied it and settled in it, take care to observe all the rules and regulations that I set before you this day. When we hear those words, about and when, we remember that we are still in the wilderness. And the way of the wilderness is uncertainty. Certainty is only the law of the promised land. This pandemic isn't over. It never was. And it seems like we aren't going to get that hot vax summer we were promised. What once felt certain, a return to some degree of normalcy, appears to be getting farther away, at least for now. Let me be clear about what still is certain. Getting vaccinated will make you and everyone around you safer. Wearing masks indoors will make you and everyone around you safer. Yeah, the continuing changes in public health guidelines can be frustrating. We like certainty, but like all of us, the scientists are just doing the best that they can. Following their direction makes us safer. And I'm proud to serve a community under Dr. Shani Silverberg that continues to respond promptly and prudently to the ever-evolving circumstances presented by this pandemic. Thank you. As this week comes to an end, we've been humbled. We plan, and COVID laughs. So what's next? When we face confusing times like this together, it's always helpful to return to Torah. And it just so happens that Parshat Re'eh contains one of the Torah's most confusing passages. In one verse, we read, "There shall be no needy among you, for Adonai, your God, will bless you in the land that Adonai, your God, is giving you, if you keep all the commandments I enjoin upon you." But then, just 7 verses later, the Torah tells us, there will never cease to be needy ones from the midst of the land. There shall be no needy, there will never cease to be needy. Now that's a contradiction. So what do we do with it? The great medieval Spanish commentator Nachmanides proposes a reading of these 2 verses together that is instructive for our current predicament. He notes that the eradication of poverty is described as a reward that we receive for following God's commandments. Some generations will achieve this. Others won't. And we don't know which we are in. Thus, Nachmanides suggests that we should understand these 2 verses as a warning that neediness can never be completely eliminated. It's as if God is saying, yeah, you're going to make progress, but I know that sometimes you won't get there. So I put this reminder here for you, just in case. I want to add one observation to Nachmanides' commentary. Notice that God specifies that abundance is a blessing that will only be bestowed on the children of Israel in the land that God is giving them, in the promised land. Only after we've left the wilderness, only when we've arrived in that promised place of absolute certainty. Only when we get to the promised land will we know the exact consequences of our every action, the just deserts of our every deed, the blessings and the curses. Alas, Nachmanides teaches us that sometimes, in spite of everything we do, we won't make it. And unfortunately, God doesn't promise us that certainty until we reach the promised land. But we never stop trying to get there. We're not going to get our hot vax summer. I am as bummed as all of you are. But I'm going to keep telling everyone I can to get vaccinated. I'm going to keep wearing my mask. And I'm going to hope for a chill vax fall. Shabbat shalom.
We turn back to our Sidurim, back to our prayer books, to page 282 for Aleinu L'Shabeach, and I'll invite you to please rise if you're able.
Aleinu L'Shabeach L'Adon Harko, L'Tet Gdula L'Yotzer Breshit, Shelo Asanu Kegoyei Haratzot, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Please be seated.
ויתקדש שמי רבה.
A meditation before we recite Kaddish together. Reflection from Victor Hugo, who wrote, "I feel in myself the future life. I am like a forest which has been more than once cut down. The new shoots are stronger and livelier than ever. I am rising, I know, toward the sky. The sunshine is on my head. The earth gives me its generous sap, but heaven lights me with the reflection of unknown worlds. You say that the soul is nothing but the result of bodily powers. Why then is my soul the more luminous when my bodily powers begin to fail? Winter is on my head, and the eternal spring is in my heart. The nearer I approach the end, the plainer I hear around me the immortal symphonies of the world which invite me." In this moment, we remember dear ones who are now part of that immortal symphony. In our community, we remember these dear ones for whom we are in a period of Shloshim. John Blauner, father of Michael, Wendy, and Andrew. Robert Blum, husband of Gail, father of Andrew and Evan. Tamara Renee Watson, mother of Robert Brown. Elvira Gallus, mother of Denise and Jan. Carol Phillips Green, mother of Kathy and Janet. Nan Leader, mother of Cynthia, Douglas, Jane, and William, grandmother of David. Miriam Lagano, mother of Joan. Rita Shane Richmond, mother of Great Neck and Carol. Mervyn Silverberg, father of Shawnee, Lori, Robin, Yael, and Jordana. Ann Yerman, wife of Fred, mother of Emily and Deborah. In addition to these loved ones, we recall our fellow citizens who died this week in mass shootings. We remember these, including Shay Nicole Dinkins, age 10, Randy Perkins, age 56, and Marshawn Sullins, age 25. And we call to mind those whose yahrzeits occur on this Shabbat: Margot Aaron, Harry Adelberg, Alfred Alschuler, Edward Barback, Jerome Black, Hugo Blum, Philip Braveman, Henry Brinberg, Marilyn Gale Kaplan, Morris Charney, Charles Diamond, Morris Drexler, Ralph Ellis, Leo Elstein, Selma Engelhart, Bernard Fabricant, Maxwell Felton, Jerome Finkelstein, Jacqueline Mond Friedman, Jack Friedberg, Glorianne Gamzon, Marjorie Gluck, Arthur Goldsmith, Gerald Green, Nina Greenstein, Julia Hartman, Isabella Heller, Sarah Jaffe, Gertrude Jason, Leon Katkeff, Maurice Katz, Helen Klemperer, Susan G. Komen, Irene Kollischer-Lieberger, Amanda Laura, Carolyn Lubatsky, Amy Lynn, Saul Middleman, Marion Morris, Jed Moss, Morris Novick, David Otterman, Doris Padower, Abraham Perlman, Pearl Rakowski, Ann Reich, Seymour Rosenhaus, Louis J. Ross, Alice Rubian, Jeremy Sadaka, Robert Saltstein, Janet Brody Saunders, Earl Schiff, Alfred Schoenberger, Charlotte Schwartz, Robert Siegel, Pinchas Schulman, Leo Siegel, Barbara Simon, Ida Sklar, Alexander Smith, Martin Spitzer, Stanley Stahl, Abraham Strauss, Karen Strauss, Louis Tannenbaum, Julianne Ullman, Diane Unger, Frida Wecker, Michael Wiener, Albert Weiner, and Alexander Zeldin. We would invite those who are in a period of Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning the loss of their loved one, to rise at this time. And those who are within the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning the loss of their loved one, to rise. We'd invite you, if you're in the period of Shana, the first year, to rise at this time. And all who are here to observe a yard site on this Shabbat, we invite you to rise. Zichronam livracha, may their memories continue to be abiding blessings. We, your community, will stand now to surround you in support and solidarity as we recite words of Kaddish Yatom together on page 294. 294, we say together, Yit Kadal V'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Ve'alma Divrach Hirtei Ve'amlich Malchutei, B'chayechon V'yomechon Uv'chayei D'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala V'zman Kariv V'imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam U'lamei Almaya, Yit Barach V'yishtabach V'yit Ba'ar V'yit Raman V'yit Naseh, V'yit Hadar V'yit Haleh V'yit Halal Shmei D'Kudesha Berichu, Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata, Tushbechata V'Nechemata, Da'amiran Be'alma V'imru Amen. Yehi Shlam Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen.
Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom. In a moment, we'll close together in song, but a few brief announcements. I know you've been looking forward to them. Thank you, Dave. We're so happy that so many of you are joining us here and joining us virtually, and as of course, you can always continue to be a part of our congregation virtually through Facebook Live, YouTube, JBS, and our own live stream. Did I get everything?
Got it all.
Okay. Tomorrow morning, we will have Shabbat morning worship, our Mishkan service here in the sanctuary. We look forward to having you join us for that. The text study, I hear, is going to be riveting. It's mine. We want to let you know that we are looking and recruiting for shamashim, for the really incredible people who welcome us into this space. We are looking for folks who are going to be the first tone that people experience when they come into our space, both for our regular Shabbat services, but also for the high holidays. So many times people ask, is there anything we can do to give back? And this is a real concrete thing and a real serious way that people can be of service. So I would give that plug. And if people are interested,
There's going to be an email with there's information on how to register in the weekly. So look out in the weekly email this week and next week and the week after that and the week after that.
So coming to your inboxes on Sundays. We're going to, of course, continue with Kiddush and Motzi, but before that, just as we've noted, our policies and protocols continue to change. We do and really do try to keep in mind all of the ways that we can keep each other and the community as safe as possible. It's a goal, it's a guidepost, and it's important. Gifts that we can give to each other. So after our closing song, we are going to invite you to exit the sanctuary and encourage you that if you're going to greet each other, to do it outside where there's a little bit more air. Just another way that we can keep each other extra safe. So we hope you understand as we continue to make these changes, as we continue to learn more about ways that we can keep each other as safe and healthy as possible. All right, so Kiddush can be found on page 5.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Borei Peri Hagafen Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Kiddishanu B'mitzvotav Beratzavanu B'Shabbat Kodsho Be'ahava U'Bratzon Hinchilanu Zikaron Le'Maaseh V'Reishit Ki hu Yom Techila Le'Mikra'ei Kodesh Zecher L'Tziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'achata Be'otanu kidashta Mikol ha'amim V'shabbat kodshecha Be'ahava u'bratzon Hinchaltanu Baruch Ata Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
So I grabbed Kabbalah from under its cover, and I realized that it was going to see the grape juice and be very sad that the grape juice was being blessed first. So I hid it behind my back, but here it is for everybody to enjoy.
Very good move, the challah. No idea.
It's very sensitive and attuned to the feelings of the challahs.
Very important.
We're about to eat it, but that's okay.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Hamotzi Lechem Min Haaretz. Amen. Well, we'll close with a song of peace, Oseh Shalom. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Oseh Shalom bimkomam, O Yaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru. La 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 שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.